Hello guys, welcome back to another episode. And today we're gonna get our hands dirty. You see this guitar? My buddy asked me to set it up for him, so that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna show you all the steps to set up this guitar and make it play and sound awesome. Stay tuned. Hello guys, welcome back to another episode. My name is Hector, and if you haven't yet, please comment, like, share, and subscribe, and participate on our little guitar nerd community. Today we have a really cool episode. I'm going to show you how I set up this guitar for one of my friends. This video is going to be a little experimental in the sense of how I'm recording this. I've never done this before, so let's get into it. I always have a notebook with me just in case I find more stuff that I need to do to the guitar, and I can either tell the customer or fix it as part of the setup. First thing I do is just tune the guitar to pitch so I can get a feel of the guitar. I want to see how it reacts to the changes, the strings, the electronics, all that stuff. So I usually jam a little bit on the guitar before I do anything else. In this part, I'm testing the electronics. The first thing I do is just play around with the electronics, change the volumes, move the pickups, the switch, see if it sounds scratchy or any other kind of stuff, and also how the sound changes from the bridge pickup to the neck pickup. You want to make sure they're even. During the electronics inspection, I found that the bridge and the neck pickup had different volumes when you toggle back and forth. This happened because the bridge pickup was closer to the strings than the neck pickup. So I'm writing it down and making myself a little checklist so I can do everything at the end. The next step, you test the strings open to make sure there's no buzzing either at the nut or at the bridge. And then you do every single fret. So you do this chromatic thing, I think that's what it's called, all the way down to the end. This will help you identify any uneven frets, so you can write it down on your list of what to do or what to tell the customer if after the setup they're still having the same problem. Here's a little disclaimer. This is what I do when I set up guitars. Some techs just change the strings and they start doing the setup right away, and they do this part at the end, which is fine. It's just a different way of doing things. I just like to do it this way, so that way it gives me an idea of what happens when the strings are worn out, and obviously it's going to be set up, so it's probably going to play better anyways, but this is the way I do it. There's nothing wrong with any other way. In this part, I'm checking the neck. There's another way to do it. It's more efficient. This is me because I'm already trained to look at the neck like that, so I can really tell how much relief it needs or it has. It plays fine. It seems like the string height is really high over here, so I'm gonna go through the setup and see if the neck needs to be shimmed or it could be just straightening the truss rod up, so that way the neck is completely flat. So let's go from there. And the strings are off, and we're gonna start getting ready for the actual setup. During the initial inspection, I found that the fret ends were sharp, so we're gonna work on that too. This is a little POV of what the guitar looked like before we did any work on it. During the inspection, I found that the frets were sharp, so we're gonna take care of that first. This is the file we'll be using. If this was a glossy neck, I will tape the edges and just leave the frets exposed. In this case, it's just an oil finished neck, which is a little more forgiving to scratches and stuff like that. Also, I didn't have to take that much material off the frets, it just wasn't comfortable to play, so I decided to work on it a little bit. This is a close-up of the frets. Hopefully you can see that we actually didn't take much material out, so it should be a pretty easy fret dressing. Normally this is the part that takes the longest. It's kind of like the detail work. If you start reshaping frets, then you have to sand them afterwards, which you're gonna see on the next step after this. And we're using a file that has like a rounded edge on one side, so you don't scratch the fingerboard or dig into the fingerboard. So if you guys want more information about the tools that I'm using, just let me know in the comments. When you're sanding down the side of the frets, you go from 600 to 1000 to 1500 depending on how much material you took out and how big the frets are as well. If it was for a customer, I'll probably ask them if they want me to work on that, because that will be an extra charge. But this cleaning the fingerboard and all that good stuff, that's part of the setup, so I don't charge extra for that. This is a close-up of the work that we did on the fingerboard and also the fret ends, and we're gonna get ready for the next step coming up. This step is fret dressing. So what I'm doing, I'm taping the fingerboard and leaving just the frets out so I can use steel wool to polish them a little bit better. The frets were a little dirty, so that's the only reason why I'm using steel wool. Otherwise, if they were a little bit more dirty or anything like that, I'll be using sandpaper, steel wool, and then you can go on and on with multiple different ways to do fret dressing. This is what I did on this specific situation given the guitar. In this part, I do a deep clean of the guitar since I still don't have strings on it. Some people do it at the end of the setup. I do this now, and then I do a final cleaning after. This is just a me thing. This cleaning tool over here is really helpful, and shout out to Valley Guitar Works on Instagram for giving me the tip, so give him a follow. I found this during the initial inspection, and you see how these two posts are sticking out. They're not supposed to be like that. So this is also another thing that I will ask the customer if they want to replace it, and give them a suggestion and how much it will cost to do that as far as part of the work. Today we're using Slinky's 10 to 46. That's what my buddy gave me, that's what he uses. He said that he loves them, so if you have any other cool strings, just let me know in the comments and we'll talk about strings too. Okay, so adjusting the truss rod is the first and most important part. If you don't get this right, everything else is gonna be off. Every guitar company has their own specs, and most of the time it's different. When I worked at Fender it was one, and when I worked at ESP was another. So I kept the ESP one because it's basically you work with a straight neck. If the guitar doesn't have a perfect neck, you just give it a little more relief until it plays fine. On the string height is also another thing that people do it differently. It could be at the 12th, 15th fret, 17th fret. Usually is where the neck meets the body. The string height also changes from company to company. Normally what I do is on the low E, I do 2.5 30 seconds or under, and the high E will be 2 30 seconds or under. Adjusting the pickup height will be 3 30 seconds on the bass side and 2 30 seconds on the high E side. In this case, I had to move them to match the sound from one pickup to the other, so there's no volume variances between the pickups when you use a switch. The intonation on this guitar was a little tricky because it has a vintage bridge and the saddles hold 2 strings at a time. This is a technology they used to use back in 52, 54 when the telly was first invented and before they switched over to individual saddles for better intonation. If you're gonna adjust your intonation and you have a bridge like this, put a piece of cardboard under the screwdriver so you don't dig into the wood. I messed up a bunch of times when I was first learning. And that's it, guys. That's a setup. If you have any questions or anything, put it in the comments and then let's start a conversation. If you want to know some of the tools that I use, measurements and stuff like that, I can do a more detailed video next time if you guys want it. So just request it on the comments and let's get it going. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Hope you got a better idea of what a guitar setup looks like. And if you want more guitar content, go to my shorts page. I post 15-second guitar reviews every day. And I'll be seeing you guys next week with another guitar adventure. Take care, guys.